I'm Tracy Sabol. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, final stretch. Vice President Kamala Harris heads to Texas to speak on abortion as the polls show a deadlocked race. Controversial measure. The Biden administration is proposing a new rule on contraception. We have the details. Abortion in Ohio. The Buckeye State's abortion ban is struck down as unconstitutional. We have analysis. Plus, faith and reason. More than 24 volumes of the collected works of Pope Benedict XVI are set to be released. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Our top story, we start once again on the red-hot campaign trail as the clock counts down. The presidential candidates pick up the pace. Both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are in the battleground state of Texas making their pitches to voters.
We are here to really highlight that, sadly, the elected leaders of Texas, a lot of them, have made Texas ground zero in this fundamental fight for the freedom of women to make decisions about their own body.
At the same time, former President Donald Trump spoke about immigration.
What Kamala Harris has done on our border is cruel, it's vile, and it's absolutely heartless. Her policy of importing migrant gangs is a crime against our country. It's actually a crime against humanity.
Both candidates are crisscrossing the country as they make their final push for votes in the upcoming election. We begin now in Georgia. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports.
Tracy, Georgia is a pivotal state in this upcoming election. In 2020, you'll recall, it was very close, with Joe Biden barely edging out Donald Trump. Now, last night here in the Atlanta area, Vice President Kamala Harris, trying to keep Georgia in the win column for Democrats, continued pushing her pro-abortion agenda at a rally attended by thousands of people. But pro-life groups continue pushing back, including the recent launch of an ad campaign blasting Harris's support for abortion. Just outside Atlanta, at a campaign rally, Vice President Kamala Harris on stage with former President Barack Obama, and Harris blasting her opponent.
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe versus Wade.
For Democrats, they see abortion as a make-or-break issue this year, calling it a fight for freedom.
Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body.
But pushing back to defend unborn life, just recently announced, with the election moving in fast, a new multi-million-dollar pro-life ad campaign. SBA Pro-Life America says will reach millions of persuadable voters.
Chris and I have built a loving family, but part of us is missing forever. We got pregnant in high school. I was terrified. Planned Parenthood handed me drugs and sent me home. A month later, I started hemorrhaging. Vice President Harris, you call this freedom? Pushing abortions in the Black community? If Black lives really matter, help moms and babies. Offer resources, not just abortion.
And Senator Bill Cassidy also slamming Harris's support for abortion. Posting on social media, Vice President Harris has made clear that she holds a view on abortion that's among the most extreme in her party. Vice President Harris rejects protections for religious freedoms, supports legislation allowing abortion up until the moment of birth, and wants to end the Senate filibuster to pass it. Now, looking ahead on this very busy campaign trail, Donald Trump announced just today that he'll be here in the Atlanta area this coming Monday for a rally. And this coming weekend before that, he'll hold rallies in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and in New York City. As for Vice President Kamala Harris, she'll deliver a speech from the Ellipse at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Her campaign says it will be her closing argument. In Atlanta, Georgia, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
And now to Arizona, where President Joe Biden issued a historic apology to Native Americans for a horrific chapter in history.
After 150 years, the United States government eventually stopped the program. But the federal government has never formally apologized for what happened. until today. I formally apologize.
From 1819 to 1969, 18,000 children were taken from their parents and forced to attend a government-run boarding school system in order to assimilate. Many children who attended these boarding schools endured emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, and hundreds died. Biden made the apology during a visit to the Gila River Indian community. This November marks the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision in 2022, sending the issue of abortion back to the states. Abortion is considered one of the pivotal issues in this race, so it may seem no coincidence that the Biden administration launched a new proposal this week regarding contraception. The measure would allow millions of people on private health insurance to pick up condoms, birth control pills, and even morning after pills, all free of charge and without a prescription. The Catechism of the Catholic Church calls contraception a morally unacceptable form of birth regulation, adding that every action that proposes to render procreation impossible is intrinsically evil. All right, let's bring in Natalie Dodson, policy analyst with the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Natalie, great to be with you today. As we mentioned, this proposal requires insurance companies to remove the prescription requirement coverage for contraception. Talk to us about what kind of dangers that could pose, especially to one's health.
Well, I want to be really clear here. This is a political stunt. It's a proposal that cannot be finalized before the 2024 election. What it reveals is that a future Harris administration's primary concern would be reproductive rights at the expense of religious liberty and the health of women. Just last year, the Food and Drug Administration approved the O-pill, a progestin-only contraceptive pill that is the first ever over-the-counter form of hormonal birth control. This proposed rule would mean an unprecedented level of access to a drug with no age restrictions. O-pill is currently available in pharmacies and retailers, including CVS, Walgreens, Target, Walmart, Costco, and Amazon for as little as $20 a month or $90 for a 6-month supply. There's a serious safety concerns with the over-the-counter oral contraception, especially for women as young as 12 years old, who without parental consent or the approval of a medical professional would be able to obtain birth control at no cost.
And Natalie, let me ask you this too. What other potential issues, if implemented, could this proposal pose?
Yeah, we have seen for many years since 2010 and the enactment of the Affordable Care Act, the contraceptive mandate 1.0 has been in litigation, especially with Little Sisters of the Poor. And HHS has said that they would respect religious liberty, especially with the wins that we've had with the Supreme Court in Little Sisters of the Poor and Hobby Lobby. But it's unclear whether they will still respect these protections won in litigation. Even though the Little Sisters of the Poor won their case, they continue to be embroiled in litigation 13 years later. This proposal additionally threatens moral and conscious objections for employers, pharmacists, and retail staff, especially coupled with another proposed contraceptive mandate rule that seeks to eliminate the moral exemptions in its entirety. You know, Vice President Kamala Harris recently shared that she would reject religious exemptions for abortion as president, which likely means she would take the same view for contraception.
Natalie, thank you so much for weighing in. We really appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you.
Our reaction is pouring in from the pro-life community after a judge struck down Ohio's heartbeat law. The legislation outlawed most abortions once a baby's heartbeat was detected. However, the judge, Christian Jenkins, called it unconstitutional following the passage of a pro-abortion amendment last fall. The state's Attorney General, Dave Yost, requested to leave all but one provision of the heartbeat law untouched after the amendment passed. Yost's office says that they will decide whether to appeal within 30 days. And joining us now to discuss this further is Aaron Baer from the Coalition for Christian Values. Aaron, great to have you on the show. So what was your reaction when you learned of this ruling?
Well, first and foremost, it's heartbreaking because this ruling is going to lead to tens of thousands of Ohio children losing their lives. But also, too, what we're seeing here is that when Planned Parenthood and the ACLU ran this abortion amendment campaign last year, they sold voters a bill of goods that's not true. What they were telling voters is this was about rape and incest and these really hard cases of abortion. But what we're seeing now with this court ruling is that we're going to have dangerous late-term abortions here. There's also other litigation going on to repeal common sense regulations on abortion clinics that even a lot of Democrats agree with. So we mourn today, but we're also beginning to expose to voters the radical nature of what was passed last year.
Yeah, and I know that you said in a statement that Ohio voters are beginning to see the extreme nature of the state's abortion amendment. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, you know, the reality is a lot of folks, when they're thinking about abortion today, they don't realize what's actually happening, especially with the promulgation of chemical abortion. So now you have stories of women having abortion pills sent to them that they ordered online from who knows where. And you talk to pregnancy center workers and you'll hear stories of women who have actually delivered their children into toilets by themselves alone. You heard just a little bit ago about the hemorrhaging that some of these drugs can cause. So these are things that voters weren't thinking about when they went in to vote. And so we're going to begin to expose those stories and hopefully begin in Ohio and in other states that have had these dangerous abortion amendment passed get repealed or at least curbed back.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from pro-lifers about this decision?
Oh, yeah. I know for all of us, it's not unexpected that this decision was going to come down with the way that the abortion amendment was written. It was really written very broadly. And for a lot of us, it's just a day of mourning because we knew this was going to come our way. But also there's a lot of determination because we need to save every single life we can in the Buckeye State.
Yeah. And we know that the county judge says this ruling upholds the wishes of the voters following the passage of Issue 1, the so-called Reproductive Freedom Amendment. What would you say to that?
You know, again, at the end of the day, when you look at the abortion amendment itself, it's really hard for us to have weak gestational limits on abortion right now. But again, what we don't think a lot of voters realize when they passed this, that this was going to allow abortions after 20 weeks and when children can feel pain and a lot of the more gruesome abortion procedures we see in America today. Don't get me wrong, all abortion is wrong. But we have a lot of work to do to convince voters of that. And I think they're going to start to see the dangers of what they passed last year.
Yeah, Aaron, before I let you go, we have like 30 seconds left or so, but we're seeing a lot of these abortion amendments on ballots this fall. I want to get your thoughts on that, especially in Florida.
You know, at the end of the day, Florida's in really strong shape because they have folks like Ron DeSantis and his wife, Casey DeSantis, who are really highlighting the dangers of it. Having doctors speak out on this is a big deal. And they also have an important constitutional threshold. So I'm really optimistic about Florida. I think we have a chance of winning there. Some of the other states, it's going to be tough. But there's a long fight ahead to protect life in America today.
I'm going to leave it right there. Aaron, great to be with you. We appreciate it. God bless.
Hey, thank you.
And we just mentioned the battle for life also rages on in Florida, where the governor and lieutenant governor are speaking out against a proposed amendment enshrining abortion in the state constitution. They say the language is deliberately vague and deceptive.
The amendment language specifically eliminates parental consent and only maintains parental notification. And I think most people, once they process that, understand that notifying is very different than a parent actually consenting to a minor obtaining a very dangerous medical procedure that has life-altering consequences.
The proposed Amendment 4 would allow abortions up to the point of viability. Governor Ron DeSantis, along with the lieutenant governor and a team of doctors, all say the bill is dangerous and could put lives at risk. Meantime, dozens are dead following Israeli strikes on residential areas in southern Gaza. Among those killed in the attack were several children. Meanwhile, in northern Gaza, local health authorities say Israeli forces raided a hospital. Israel also expanded strikes into Lebanon, killing 3 journalists working for news outlets believed to be aligned with Hezbollah. And we have a lot more still to come here on EWTN News Nightly, including it's a trip the Catholic Church is urging you not to take. We'll explain the opposition to Massachusetts ballot question 4. And Tropical Storm Trami left parts of the Philippines in ruins, but the worst may not be over. Welcome back. There are a lot of ballot initiatives facing voters in November, from abortion to school choice and legalization of marijuana. But there is one in Massachusetts that is so controversial that it has the Catholic Church speaking out. If passed, it would allow adults to use psychedelic drugs. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales joins us now with that story.
Good evening, Tracy. Listen to this. Massachusetts residents could soon be allowed to buy, possess, and even grow 5 types of mind-altering drugs, including magic mushrooms, without much regulation. Father Tad Pahochik, senior ethicist at the National Catholic Bioethics Center, tells me legalization of these substances would go even further and do more harm.
This bill would allow for those substances to be shared with friends. So, this strikes me as a recipe for nothing short of a disaster. And any reasonable person should see that this is not a sensible approach.
Even the bishop of the Diocese of Worcester, Massachusetts agrees. He wrote parishioners saying in part, quote, "The use of such natural drugs can alter one's perception of reality." Father Pahochik adds there are other issues with the way the bill is written.
It states that if a particular town or municipality wants to exclude some of the individuals or businesses that would be selling the psychedelics, that will not be allowed.
Supporters say these psychedelic drugs can be useful to those dealing with PTSD, anxiety, and even depression. But Father Pahochik says it goes too far, too fast.
Because these induce hallucinatory experiences for people and induce trips, there will be the temptation to use these in unreasonable or improper fashion.
Oregon and Colorado have already passed laws regarding the use of psychedelics, but opponents say the Massachusetts bill would represent the most aggressive release of these drugs. The National Catholic Bioethics Center says if this measure does pass, it would open the door for other states to act, similar to what happened with the legalization of marijuana. Latest polling data shows that this referendum could go either way. Supporters have already raised about $4 million in an effort to pass it. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
All right, staying in Massachusetts, officials there are investigating a fire at a Catholic church as arson. The fire was reported at St. Mary Church in Franklin on Wednesday night. Officials said they responded quickly as it was spreading in the rear sacristy and there was a significant amount of smoke. The ATF says that based on evidence and witness interviews, they, quote, determined the fire was intentionally set. The church will remain closed for the time being. After spending more than 30 years behind bars for the murder of their parents, the Menendez brothers could be one step closer to leaving prison. The Los Angeles District Attorney has filed a motion recommending a judge re-sentence the siblings. The monumentous decision came after the brothers' attorneys filed new evidence last year that they said shared light on abuse suffered at the hands of their father. Members of the men's family, as well as celebrities, urged the DA to release the brothers, citing the new evidence and the evolution of understanding of sexual abuse victims. A hearing on the matter could be held in 30 to 45 days. Dozens are dead as a tropical storm battered the Philippines, bringing landslides and extensive flooding. The Philippine president surveyed the damage and the devastation. Even as Tropical Storm Trami has moved away, state forecasters warn that it could make a U-turn next week once it's pushed back by high-pressure winds. This is the 11th storm to batter the Philippines so far this year. Up next on EWTN News Nightly, coming home. After several months in space, astronauts are celebrating their return to Earth. Plus, nearly half of Pope Benedict XVI's pre-papal writings will be available in English for the first time. We have the details. After an 8-month mission in space, 4 astronauts have returned in a SpaceX capsule. The 3 Americans and 1 Russian had a 2-month delay for a variety of reasons. The postponement started because of problems with Boeing's troubled Starliner spacecraft. Hurricane Milton that interfered, followed by high winds and rough seas. Well, nearly half of Pope Benedict XVI's pre-papal writings will be available in English for the first time. Word on Fire Academic was awarded by the Vatican's publishing house the exclusive English rights to Joseph Ratzinger's collected works. So far, just 1 volume of the writings has been published in English. Theology of Liturgy was published by Ignatius Press back in 2014. Word on Fire Academic plans to publish the remaining 24 volumes of Joseph Ratzinger's collected works in English beginning in 2026. And joining us now to talk more about this and the importance of then Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger's writings is Dr. Jason Peon, editor of Word on Fire Academic. Dr. Peon, great to be with you today, and congratulations on the publishing rights. Talk to us more about this and the significance of it.
Thank you, Tracy. It's great to be here. Ratzinger is one of the most influential theologians of the last century, and I think he's important for a lot of reasons, one of which is that he's a model of Catholic dialogue with contemporary thought and culture. He was a man who revered the Christian tradition, the Catholic tradition, but he also wasn't afraid to engage critically and openly with contemporary thought, and I think that's an important feature of his work. He was also a monumental figure of post-conciliar thought. He sort of guided the church in its implementation and interpretation of the Second Vatican Council after what was, at times a turbulent period in the 1970s. So he was a sort of a steady hand at the helm of the church, and he's a great model for Catholic thought today.
Yeah, and I understand you're set to release 2 volumes a year over a 12-year period. What are some of the writings that we can expect to see?
One of our first volumes is going to feature the Jesus of Nazareth trilogy. It's one of his capstone works, well beloved. We're also going to be publishing famous works like The Introduction to Christianity, The Spirit of Liturgy, his work on eschatology, Truth and Tolerance, and many others. These have all been available as standalone works by Ignatius Press and others. Now they'll be collected all for the first time in a single series. So that's going to be a great way to present these works all together in their context.
Yeah, definitely. Before I let you go, can you talk to us about the insight and the wisdom that the faithful can gain from these writings?
Yeah, Ratzinger is a huge source of wisdom, both for scholars and researchers and students, but also for ordinary Catholics. He's got tomes of sermons. They're brimming with this deep spiritual and theological meaning. And so I think he's really a source of great spiritual insight and wisdom for the whole church today. We're grateful to be part of this project, grateful to be carrying forward the torch and preserving and advancing his legacy. We hope that this series will help the church to kind of carry out its mission to the world and its evangelistic mission.
And we're looking forward to it. Dr. Jason Peon, thank you so much. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you for having me, Tracy.
And we thank you for watching tonight. Remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Tracy Sabol. Good night, and God bless.